can do it as a KJ is you can redefine a song for your karaoke star. You're making this guy his own version of a track. Every single time you mix, it should be this singer's version of it. It shouldn't be Three Doors Down's Kryptonite. It should be that singer at the time, his version and his take on Kryptonite. Now whether or not he does it almost identical or identical, it makes no difference. Your job is to give him that leeway and try to make him sound the best that he possibly can. And do it. Do what you can with it. So, as you can hear right there, I did a little bit of reverb. Reverb is an initial echo with a wash behind it. Alright, so a delay is just an echo, it's just a dry echo. A reverb is a wet echo that has a lot behind it. And the thing that you're going to hear with reverb is the timing on it makes a huge difference. It is timed way different than a delay. A delay is how many milliseconds you want the responses to be. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That could be a delay. On reverb though, you're going to have 1. And it's just going to wash through it. And it's pretty quick right afterwards. It just follows your voice immediately. So this is should be my cathedral reverb. 1, 1, 2, and the reason it sounds like this right now. Here, I'm gonna send it real hard. All right, now the reason it sounds like this is actually kind of what you hear in most smaller cathedrals, is that I have it on a short timing here, so it's at about a 1 second timing. When you do a lot of stuff, you're going to hear like Josh Groban, when I'm down and all my soul so weary. Alright? You can hear that, it kind of fits. When you go a little bit longer, this is where you hear a lot of other artists, but when you do it that way, they're actually going to have it turned down. So even though it's there, it's still present, so has that linger. It's not as loud, and that's where your job as the mixer comes in. You want to know how loud those effects should be, how long they should be. There's applications on the internet, actually. I use a delay application on my Personas, because my Personas doesn't have a tap delay button that lets me just hit the button and time it. Those are amazing. My Personas has one. I will get into that on that board. That's an amazing feature to have. So just set the delay that way. If you're on a standard board like this and you actually care about your music, there are free applications that you can download. They're just delay calculators, and all you do is you put in the beats per minute of the song. It's going to give you a list of delay settings. It's going to tell you 1/4, 1/8, 1/16, 1/2, 1/1, 2/1. These are all timings on the delay, and what they're telling you is based on the beat. Do you want it on the 1/4 beat measure, or so if it's 4 beats to the measure, do you want it to come back on the next quarter beat? It makes a big difference to know these kind of things. I didn't know anything when I first started this kind of thing. I haven't had a lot of instruction other than studying the hell out of legitimate sound sites on the internet. You're going to get stuck with a lot of bad information on the internet. You want to try and get as much information as possible, practice what you can, and then if you can find legitimate sites, Behringer does stuff. There's a lot of audio sites that are really legit, that have a lot of great information out there, and your manuals. A lot of times we'll have some good information out there. I do want to touch on one other thing real quick too, is that as you can see right here, I'm plugged into my RCA ports on my board here. Actually, I'm not sure if you can see that. Let me scoot the board towards you a little bit. I'm plugged into a set of RCA ports using a headphone jack that comes out to RCA. And I like this for most laptops, and a lot of guys like to switch over to XLR. It really doesn't make a difference if you're using a patch. And every time I switch over to like an XLR adapter or something like that, or a 1/4 inch adapter, there's a little bit more impedance in my signal. I don't need any more impedance. Now, the nice thing about my board is that if I want to, I can actually set the gain and a volume fader both for this, just like I would with my microphone. And the reason that that's nice is that it allows me some play for the music. Alright, so I'm going to queue up a track real quick right here, and actually load it up. I didn't even have my drive attached, so I must save it in my history now or something, I don't know. But, alright, so what I do when I set up my audio is I already start to play, and I want to bring this all the way, actually, on my board, what I like to do is I bring it up to about 2, because normally 2 is pretty strong, and then I bring up my fader. As you can see,
with the sun on her back.
I'm set about -20,
and the
a little bit above it,
breeze.
and I've got plenty of volume, which allows me to, if I want to, I can bring my trim down, and I can bring this up. It gives me room to adjust. When you're doing karaoke, you want that room. The song you're listening to right now is done by a good friend of mine, Jeff Landon. He's with the band Branded out of Wisconsin right now. This is one of his original tracks that he actually, this has never been recorded, as far as I know, outside of Jeff. And it's probably one of my favorite songs. And another cool factor about this board is you can actually add effects to your music if you want to.
Is it love, oh tell me, are they just caught in the undertow?
So we're going to bring a little wash right here. And it's nice because it's more sensitive.
The thoughts and the words, they begin to dance. Softly and sweetly now they surrender to a chance. The night is set on fire as they're letting go. It's as if all heaven now is falling down below.
So you can see that you can add a little effects to the music if you want to, which can be very ambient. It's a great way to adjust things.
Steals their resistance all away. It might hold them in the fold. They're sure they wanna go.
And the reason I brought this up is because I've seen a couple people now with boards. The PV4 doesn't have the ability to set your trim. There's several boards out there that don't allow you to set your trim based on your channel when you're plugging in an RCA, your tape in, as a lot of them call it. You don't want to not have that control, my friends. You want to be able to fade out nicely. If you want to fade out anyway. But you want to have control over your music, especially in karaoke, because sometimes you need to bring the track down, sometimes you need to bring the track up. You need to be able to have the flexibility both between your singer and the song that's playing. And if you don't have the ability to mix that in and out, you lose a lot of that. What you always want your singer to be easily heard. If your singer can't be heard, you're not doing your job as a karaoke guy right. Even the singers that you might think aren't great singers, it's not about whether or not they're great singers. It's about whether or not they're out there having fun at your show and spending money at that bar. Because the bar's spending money on you to bring those people out. And they're not going to come out and stay out if they can't hear themselves. It's a huge pet peeve of mine, and my wife hates going out with me when we go to other people's karaoke shows. Because I'm a sound science guy. I'm a huge nitpicker. So if there's anything off, it drives me insane all night long. I do the same thing with bands, same thing if I go to weddings where they have a DJ there. It kills me, man, and you gotta have good sound. There's no reason not to have good sound. For instance, my voice is deep, right? It kind of blends in. You hear a little, it's got a little boom to it. Even with this mic has a 200 hertz, begins on roll off because it wants to, help the signal be clear. Well, to be really clear, you just bring out some of the bass in my voice, and that's going to bring my clarity out a little bit more. The clarity resides more in the higher lows and mids. That's where everything is for clarity. So if I want my voice to be really clear, it's really easy to take some of that bass out. Now, a lot of people, you don't have to do that, of course, because they don't all have bassy voices like I do. Now, you might think it's proximity effect, but proximity effect is if the mic is here, you're here, right? You're right at the mic. Now, you're going to see some guys sing that way, but sound guys, you can clear that up just by taking out a little bit of bass. And if you need to, if they're muffling too bad, actually, if they're muffling the mic, there's not much you can do because that's wind coming into your microphone. All right, so guys, don't do that. But that's basically it for the whole mixing portion right here. Take out some of the bass to get some of the clarity if they have a deep voice or if you're getting too much proximity effect. Proximity effect like this right here. I got my mouth on the microphone, actually. My lips are brushing it. And because I'm close, it changes the way I sound. So singers, if you're hearing that, you hear how it changed the sound. You don't want to do that. One, you don't know whose lips have been on that mic and what they've done. You don't want to get like some kind of hep or something. KJ's, by the way, clean your microphones, yo. Get some of them Lysol wipes or something. clean that stuff off, spray it every now and again. Do what you have to do, keep your equipment clean and pristine, because that'll help you give better quality, better results to your singers. And that'll make sure that your singers aren't getting sick from, the microphone. If they're drinking too much, that's on them. But hey, you got to do the right thing for your singers as far as you go. So if you're getting that proximity effect, yeah, you can take some of the bass out. You can hear when my proximity effect is right here. However, if you get real close to the mic and you can actually move your lips enough and enunciate, you can actually use the proximity effect to do really good things with your mic. I don't recommend it for most new people. I'll show you guys some mic techniques in another video where I'm not actually just showing you the board. We'll do a whole lot of stuff about that, because there are a lot of little mic tricks out there. Right now, though, my face is actually a couple inches away from the microphone, and that gives me a better quality sound. That gives me less in the microphone, unless I blow into it like I just did. You want your face to not be buried into your microphone. But like I said, I'll get into that in another one right now. So let's recap real quick. You got your trim right here, your gain. You want to make sure that you're not feeding back. Feeding back is not good for anything. It's not good for your speakers. It's not good for your microphone. It's not good for the people in the audience who are going to want to beat you with a chair. All right, so no feedback. Find where that hum starts, ever so slowly. Find that hum. It's going to come off a little bit right there. You can actually hear it just a little bit. So that's why when you go check, 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 if you hear that, when I go check, 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 you can hear the little wump, wump. In the background there, it's very faint, but a good song, you guys are going to hear that. Good karaoke, you guys are going to hear that, and they're going to go, okay, we want to bring it back about a step and a half, depending on our venue, so that we're good for that. That way we don't have to worry about that anymore. All right? And one of the reasons, like I said, I got this at about -10 here, is because if I want to, later on, when you start your music, you start it off with a smaller crowd almost inevitably, right? So that helps me to later on, as more people fill in, to bring up that without affecting where my gain is. My gain's still in a great place. It's still not going to feed back because I've got it at a beautiful spot. Gives me a lot more room, still has a lot of room right here. But this allows me to turn it up as the night goes on and as more people fill into the room. Alright? So we've got that. We've got a 3-channel EQ. Do not turn all of them up to the same point. Do not turn all of them up at any point unless you want a wonky sound. You might not think it's wonky, but trust me, there are things that are missing. It's not going to have the right feel to it. Sound has a feel, and if the singer feels off at all about how they sound when they're singing, you're going to throw them off. They need to sound consistent, and they need to sound like something that they understand. It has to feel right to them. It has to feel like them when it's coming out of the system. If it doesn't feel like them, they're not going to want to do it. They're going to feel weird. They're going to feel clunky. They're going to sing really poorly. Your job is to make them the star, y'all. All right, now we have pan, which if I was running left right stereo, I would show you that, but very rarely do you need panning when you're doing karaoke. And then of course you have your volume setting down here, your volume fader. All right, now I've showed you the basics of this. I can give you the science to it, but we're not really going to worry about that right now. The science doesn't matter in so much as the application when it comes to sound. If you want to understand the science, you feel free to tag me, hit me up. I'll redirect you to some things and I'll explain what I can just real fast. Over here, you're actually going to see contour. Contour kind of, it increases your attack and your release. So it's a fast attack, fast release. What that means is it's going to change a lot about the way your sound sounds. I had it on because I like it on the PV boards. It does something really nice and clean to the sound, makes it kind of cleaner. But as far as an analog live warm sound goes, I keep it off for a lot of the karaoke. And that's because for karaoke is more of a live sound application. You are playing what is essentially a DJ track with lyrics attached to it, but it has a singer that you're supplying, and having the ability to mesh those correctly means that contour kind of needs to come off, because you're also contouring their vocals in the final mix, and you don't want to contour vocals necessarily, especially given a lot of songs. Hip-hop songs, you can contour it, but you don't get that very often, and at least not up in the Northwoods area, up in Antigo area, with Marion, that kind of areas. And you get a lot of country, you get a lot of pop, and for those, take the contour off if you have a contour button. Over here you're going to see what's a high pass filter. And what that is you're going to see, on this board it says 80 hertz, and that's your cutoff for 80 hertz and below. It's kind of nice, it cleans up a voice. Like 1, 2, 1, 2. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, my name is DJ Semper Fi. All right, 1, 2, 1, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is DJ Semper Fi. So you can hear, like, for me, I got a deep voice, so I like to turn it off for my voice. Johnny Cash kind of songs, Elvis Presley, where he's doing the lows. Elvis does not do lows in every track. But for the tracks that, the guy doesn't have bass voice or, it's muffling the voice at all, take it out. There's nothing that says you have to keep low frequencies in your volume. And actually, the more you study, you'll see a lot of things that say just out of hat on most people, take the low frequencies out. Some say up to as high as 200 hertz. Actually, I know singers that they have high tone voices, which leaves a lot of breath in the low frequencies. And sometimes I've gone as high as somewhere around 500 to 800 hertz, pulling all of that out. And it leaves me a really clean sounding vocal. Now you can't do that with everybody on those boards that have the selectable high pass filters. But on certain singers and certain songs, it's not a bad idea. But once again, this is a standard board, and I wanted to show you guys introductory level kind of information like this. So vocalists, always take the 80 hertz out unless they have a bass voice and they're doing a bass song. And only if the result is still a clear voice. If the voice isn't clear when you have this on, it doesn't sound good when you have it on, or off rather, turn it on. Just put it down and let the voice clear up. Alright y'all, my name is DJ Semper Fi. I hope that answers some of your questions about how to just get the fundamental mixing down for your board, what things do what, how to avoid feedback, and to properly use the trim. Every mic is going to be different. Right now this is a Shure Beta 58A. I use Audix microphones on occasion. I have some Vocal Pros that I love that are wireless that I use almost all of the time. I have an Audix i5 that is an instrument mic and a lead female vocalist mic that has a different frequency response. Different mics for different occasions, and all of them you're going to find are impacted heavily differently by your trim or gain. They're going to be impacted heavily differently by your EQ. Make sure that you know how to use each one of your mics. Before you buy a mic for karaoke, learn a little bit about microphones and how they work, and then make sure that you do your sound check, that you're making sure that you're balancing everything at 0 to get you started as far as your volume channel for that microphone. And then make sure that you're not ringing with your feedback, because feedback is a killer. Doesn't matter how great you are. Now, the reason I get so much room between my feedback mark and the step is because when people belt and people in karaoke, you got them. The people who scream into the microphone like, "Hey everybody, I want 'em!" Those crazy guys, right? Like those guys who sing Creed. That's me, y'all. And then, of course, you got the guys who do like Three Doors Down or Bruce Chanel's "Hey Baby," Hey, hey, baby. All right, you want them to be singing that really clearly with a lot of room. That way, if I'm in the mic going, "Hey, hey, baby," so you got a little feedback because I'm actually about 1.5 feet from my monitor speaker right here. It's actually on my table because I want the camcorder to pick it up cleanly. But if I'm doing it in my microphone, that gave me a lot of opportunity to not feedback, because I gave myself the extra room up here by turning it down not from 5 to 4 or 3.5, but I stepped it down to about 2.5, 3. It gave me a lot more room. The only reason I would bring that back up is if I got everything turned at 0 and I just can't get my singer through. And by the way, guys, if your singer's too quiet and the only option is to have feedback or not be able to hear them, I'm sorry, singer, but that's the occasion when the KJ is right and not having you be audible. You guys need to give it up in the mic. You gotta sing in the mic. The louder you go, the louder you go, the louder you go. I'm not changing anything, I'm changing my voice. I'm projecting deeper. The louder you go, the easier it is for us to adjust these settings, and you can be as loud as you want, and a KJ can just bring you down to where you need to be. That's what we do. We turn you to where you want to be in the music. Alright, my dogs are going nuts in the background, and that's signaling the end of my video, man. Hopefully you guys learned everything you need to. If not, I hope I did my best for you.